Good evening. I'm Nima, and this is Forum Daily for Tuesday, August 16th. Tonight, some relief for inflation hit Canadians. Cheaper prices at the pump helped the annual inflation rate slow to 7.6% in July. Now, that's down from the nearly 40-year high of 8.1% in June. But Statistics Canada says food prices at grocery stores rose at the fastest pace in 41 years. Baked goods were up about 14% since last year. This comes as the war in Ukraine put pressure on wheat prices. And the prices of other foods like eggs and fresh fruit also went up. All right, turning to the ongoing inquiry into the Nova Scotia mass shooting. Former Supreme Court Judge Thomas Cromwell is working with the inquiry and says he's deeply concerned that the Federal Justice Department has been discouraging witnesses from being forthcoming with evidence. In a letter to the department, he cited advice the department gave C.A.M.P Chief Superintendent Chris Leather before he testified at the inquiry last month. Mr. Leather claimed that he was advised not to proactively disclose emails, phone calls, or a conversation with Commissioner Brenda Lucki, which were held more than a week after the shootings in April 2020. The meeting was focused on the effectiveness of the Nova Scotia RCMP's news conferences in the days after the event, in which a man disguised as a Mountie fatally shot 22 people. More concerning accusations emerge in a class action lawsuit filed against the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Quebec. Cardinal Marc Ouellet has been accused of sexual assault. In court documents, an unnamed woman says the former Archbishop of Quebec inappropriately touched and kissed her at a cocktail reception in 2008. The allegations are part of a series of claims made against clergy members that are included in two class action lawsuits against the church that have been authorized by a judge. All right, on the West Coast, BC's chief coroner says more than 10,000 people have died due to illicit drugs since the province declared a public health emergency in April 2016. Lisa Lapointe says there was an average of 6 deaths per day, and the number of drug-related deaths in the first half of 2022 has already surpassed the numbers from any other time in the province's history. New data from the coroner service says more than 3/4 of those who died this year have been male, and they are mostly between the ages of 30 and 59. Illicit drug toxicity is the leading cause of unnatural death in British Columbia. Moving to a new survey that looks into discrimination at the Canada Border Services Agency. 1/4 of frontline employees who responded to an internal CBSA evaluation say they had directly witnessed a colleague discriminate against a traveler in the previous 2 years. 71% of those respondents suggested the discrimination was based on the traveler's race. More than 900 border services officers and superintendents were surveyed in March 2020. The evaluation makes several recommendations. This includes making a plan to improve the reporting of mistreatment and discrimination of travelers witnessed by border agents without fear of reprisal. Back in the West, a Wet'suwet'en hereditary chief is speaking out on the construction of a 670-kilometer pipeline project that he says he did not consent to. Chief Nima says he and other counterparts from other clans have never surrendered rights to 22,000 square kilometers of traditional territory in northern British Columbia. He says they have not consented to the Coastal GasLink pipeline project. He spoke in Vancouver with fellow chiefs near the end of a tour of Indigenous communities across the country, which they have used to press their case about the pipeline project. Meanwhile, one of the largest railway companies in the country is about to get even bigger. Canadian Pacific Railway says it has received regulatory approval from the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. for its acquisition of Kansas City Southern. CP agreed last year to buy KCS in an agreement valued at $31 billion U.S. This includes the assumption of $3.8 billion U.S. in debt. The deal still requires approval by the U.S. Surface Transportation Board, but CP says it expects that review to be completed early next year. A veteran news anchor says she was blindsided when told that she was being sent packing. Lisa Laflamme took to social media to say she remains shocked and saddened over Bell Media's decision to drop her as the head anchor of the CTV national news program. Bell Media announced her departure Monday, but Lisa Laflamme says she was told of the exit on June 29th. In a separate announcement, the company says Omar Sajidina is being tapped to take the head anchor's chair. After the break, a look at how to prepare for a recession. We'll be speaking with Elke, Rubach, about how to invest amid economic uncertainties. So stay with us. Forum Daily will be right back. As the Bank of Canada prepares to raise interest rates again on September 7th, RBC economists predict the Canadian economy is on track to see a mild recession in 2023. Now, this comes as Canadians continue to deal with inflation, which slowed to 7.6% last month. This is down from the nearly 40-year high of 8.1% in June. But while gas prices declined, food prices rose at its fastest pace in 41 years, with prices up by almost 10% from a year earlier. The Bank of Canada is paying attention to this latest inflation reading as it gears up to make its next key interest rate setting next month. But how can Canadians prepare for a looming interest rate hike and a potential mild recession? Well, joining us now to help us with this is Elke Rubach, principal of Rubach Wealth. Ma'am, welcome to Forum Daily.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, ma'am. Thank you again for your time today. Now, what do you think RBC economists meant when they predicted a mild recession for Canada?
Well, I guess they're trying to say in layman terms that they don't think it'll be as severe as they were originally forecasting. We have to remember that we're coming out of a pandemic, but also combined with geopolitical instability, supply chains interrupted. Everything that has gone wrong and could have gone wrong has gone wrong. But I guess the markets have